Catching Fire is probably top 3 best middle books of all time. Probably top 2 to be honest. This book is fantastic, and if you want to see more fantastic book reviews, hit the like and subscribe button and tell us what you think in the comments. There's something for everyone on this channel. For the scores, Catching Fire gets the following: plot 100, characters 100, one word, allies. It is all about allies. Emotional impact's 96, pacing 100. This is a page turner, just like the first book. I absolutely devoured this book, and it was so worth it. This is the kind of book that you have to stop the world for. Like, everything has to be put on hold and you just gotta read it. I honestly barely read the other 3 books I was reading when I was reading Catching Fire. One of those books was a Brandon Sanderson book, by the way, The World of Ascension, which isn't going so well. Anyway, writing style 92, themes 100. What I love about the themes in this book is the growing rebellion in Katniss and everyone around her. It's like a drumming that just gets louder and louder as the book goes on. Uniqueness 95, book cover 90, overall score 97.65. This book is the beloved middle child in the original Hunger Games Trilogy. Again, when it comes to these ultra popular books, do you really need a summary? The intro should have been enough for you to purchase this book if you somehow haven't read it by now. But as always, I'll give you a quick rundown. In this book, we're seeing Katniss post first Hunger Games. There is a rebellion brewing that she's woefully ignorant to, and she isn't grasping the sheer scale of things, which is definitely a theme in this trilogy. President Snow does a madness, and Katniss needs to try and diffuse things in other districts, but she ends up in her second Hunger Games anyway, on some Drake back-to-back vibe. It was quite something. This is the year of the Quarter Quill. Haymitch won the last one, which was the 50th anniversary of the Hunger Games. I loved hearing the history of this world, which we got in the first book, but it continued in this one. Again, it just added to the richness of everything. It never fails to intrigue me, and it always provided just enough information. For example, the 50th anniversary of the Hunger Games was savage, but the 25th one, that was crazy. What a way to just break up any alliances. I can't lie, the way Collins is able to portray the creativity of the Capitol is spectacular, especially when it comes to just their evil ways. Collins also has to be up there with authors who have created such a realistic, oppressive regime, especially one that is cruel yet shallow, yet so deep in its torment over the people it subjugates. This all makes for a great reading experience and is the reason why this series is beloved. Collins does that thing where you kind of have to admire the evil behind something, or at least give it props in some way, shape or form. She does that in this series in such a cool fashion. The brutality isn't grotesque because she never dives super deep into the details. It's more about the psychological fallout, which is President Snow's game through and through, to be honest. The mic drop of all mic drops happens when the 75th Quarter Quill is announced. And I'm actually envious of those people who actually read this book before the movie came out, because that plot twist would have been crazy, especially without any spoilers or anything like that. But moving on, I like that we get more of a focus on Haymitch in this book. I know the new book in the series is about him and it's going to be epic. I know that comes out March 2025, I believe. I'm looking forward to that, but I still need to read a Song of Ballads and Song Snakes, or whatever you call that. I love that we finally get an explanation as to what happened when Haymitch was in the games. District 12 just happens to be full of rebels, I swear. It makes sense why he is the way he is, and I've always liked how linked he, Peter and Katniss are. In this quote, it's clear that they look out for each other in their own way. Quote, "I'm getting the white liquor because a few weeks ago he ran out and there was none for sale and he had a withdrawal, shaking and screaming at terrifying things only he could see." The last few words in that sentence pretty much sum up the aftermath of being part of the Hunger Games. Screaming at terrifying things only he could see. Again, just it's the small details when it comes to Collins, and how powerful those few words are to really sum up the psychological effects of the Hunger Games and being a tribute and surviving it. And so that makes up Hamish's PTSD, and that is just sprinkled in throughout the story continuously, and it's just done so well. And to be honest, all of their collective PTSD and individual mental health struggles are done exceptionally well. That is one of the many things Collins does great on. It's kind of like how, I think it was in this book as well, when Peter and Katniss are on the train and Peter shows Katniss his art. You know, when you're reading it and you know what is revealed, you kind of understand Peter's methods of coping with his mental health struggles. Speaking of other characters, the world expands a bit more with the characters in this book. I like the new faces that were introduced. They all played such a vital role, even though their appearances are brief. I mentioned this skill in my Red Rising book review. You can watch my video on that here. I honestly think that having a reader care about a side character is such a sick skill to have as an author, especially when we don't see a lot of their back history or they don't even have a POV. For example, like in this book, in this series, we're just following Katniss. It's Katniss's POV, which kind of just makes the side characters even better. But when it comes to Catching Fire and the side characters in this book, it's not about the side characters' deaths like it was in the Hunger Games. It's more about the brief solidarity, friendship, and allyship that is portrayed when they were alive. There are definitely some powerful moments here for sure. I'm not sure if I really talked about the romance part of this book in my first review. Candace's relationship with Peter is a hot mess. It is a tangled mess in many ways, shapes, and forms. I love that Katniss knows she doesn't deserve him, and she's kind of always known this, and her internal dialogue confirms this. But Katniss, on the whole, doesn't really know what she wants. She's a mess when it comes to life and her love life. But back to Collins, I've got to applaud her some more on how slowly she unveils District 13. It's just so well done that it deserves a mention. We as the reader have been fed seemingly unimportant scraps about District 13. But halfway through this book, things start to get going and we learn even more. Again, it's just part of learning the history and sort of like just the propaganda of the capital. That was eye-opening. Just learning just how weird they operate, and the fact that they're not all powerful is another thing. You know, people from other districts can really sense what the capital are doing, even though for the most part, and I guess for the past 70 something years, they've been powerless to do anything about it. But this is a good book. This is an exceptional middle book. I love a great middle book. Having a good middle book is really a blessing, because a lot of the time that sophomore curse, that sophomore slump can really hinder creatives in all types of forums. I made a video about that when a sophomore is better than the original. You can watch that here also. But yeah, anyway, if you want more book recommendations, then on the screen is my playlist of numerous book reviews. There is something for you there, I guarantee it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.